nsọ gị chukwu ka anyị na-abata, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Anya bịawa ịsọpụrụ gị ugbu a, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Chukwu nna n'ụlọ gị ka anyị na-akpọ gị, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Otito na-adịrị gị mgbe niile, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Ụmụ eliwa yikọta n'otu, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Ka anyị jikọfe ya ofufe godian, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Godianism bụ ịhụnanya n'udo, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Butere anyị ụzọ kpetara anyị azụ, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Ise ya
Ndewo. Ndewo is Igbo Nigerian for long life. Ndewo, long life to all of you, which is the deeper meaning of the word. It also means greetings. It is my pleasure to welcome you as always to this wonderful program, Chiism Live, our online forum for didactic discussions of subject matters that make you think, helps you to reassess what you know and ask the what, why, and who questions on your journey to achieve a state of Amarachi, a state of being only achieved through curiosity, devotion to truth, and altruistic living. Thank you so very much. Before we go any further, I'd like to welcome my co-host, Dibia Ochoaja UD, on your hand. Dibia, Dewo.
Yagazie to everybody in the, how do you say, Chiism verse.
Yes.
Yes. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. I would like to also add Dr. Simona Monet. Hello, Doctor.
Hello, Doctor. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. You look lovely.
Thank you.
Well, welcome. And I also like to add to the stream, Namdi Osimiri. Namdi, hello. I see you're in your car. How are you this morning?
Look at those! Look at those pythons. Those pythons are bumping. Yeah.
Oh man. Good morning, Neil. I hope everybody's
bring everybody closer so we can see everybody how you're doing. It is wonderful.
Yeah.
Before we get started, let me offer a prayer, as we always have to do, and Dr. Simona always advises us, or reminds us rather, every single Sunday. I want to give thanks first and foremost to Chineke. Anyị na-arịọ Chineke biko ka anụ anyị ekele gị. Thank you for this wonderful day you've given us. I'm an own window from water. We know that there are people who did not see this day. In your mind, you see fit that we should still stay here to do your work. And Chineke, that is what we are doing. Nabatakwa okwukwe anyị bụ biri ka mbiri site ugbu a ruo mgbe niile ebighị ebi. Ise ọfọ na ya gazie. Let every way of our lives be light and all our acts be crowned with good. And may the world prosper by our ministry, now and forevermore. Ise ọfọ ya gazie. You know, I as we always do, we start with conversations about what's going on in our world. Today, our topic is on violence. What is the religious take on violence that we see going on in our world today? Not just in the United States, but everywhere. What is the religious take? But before I show you that, there's a video I want to show you about why it is important for us to reassess what we're doing, what religion means to us. What is the purpose of religion? Is it to enrich some individuals and undermine some? Or is it about teaching people how to honor the Creator and honor each other? This is a very interesting video because it's showing what happened when a man did not pay his tithe and he passed away. And the mayhem that ensued because he didn't pay his tithe when he left. And the family, well, I would say that I just want you to watch. Now I'm going to take you guys out because of the nature of the video. I'm going to remove the rest of you. It doesn't have any sound, but let me tell you what's going on there. The man is getting ready to be buried. The church that he attends said that unless he pays his tithe, they were not going to bury him. And because they didn't want to bury him, the family took the man to another church to bury him. In so doing, the church that he attended followed him to his grave. What you saw was the fight that they're not going to bury him until he pays his tithe. People, come on. Until he pays his tithe, he was not going to be buried. Even people were jumping into the grave to prevent the coffin from being put in there. Your thoughts, your thoughts.
Let me ask you this. Have you guys, Nnamdi, Dr. Simone Ogele, have you ever seen Benny Hill?
Yes.
Comedy show Benny Hill? You know, one of these comedy shows.
Yeah.
It's really Benny Hill in real life Africa. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's really, look, it's obvious. It's about money, right?
Money.
It's about cash. That's all that is. There's nothing spiritual about it. There's no reverence for the dead, for God, for Chineke. Nothing to do with anything that has to do with, preach love, live and let live. It's just all about the pocketbook for the church, the institution. The history of Christianism has always been based on greed. The Crusades, there's nothing about the church that was ever based on trying to help you walk in the mystery of Chineke, the mystery of God. That's what religious theologies are all about, right? Buddhism, Sikhism, Chiism, Christianism, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, whatever ism that you adhere to. The idea behind religious philosophy is to guide you through the mystery of God, because it's not something that you could just put your hand on. Nobody knows the mystery, anything about the mystery of Chineke. Everything that we see and we try to decipher is based on experience, is based on the evidence we have in front of us, and is based on the idea that we are not responsible for life-sustaining forces. Neither can we stop death, which is what you fear more than anything else. So you wonder what happens after you die. Is the physical manifestation of life, is that way it ends? Is there something behind, after that? These are some of the things that religion tries to help you to navigate. And in helping you to navigate these mysteries, it is hoped that you will be able to live a better life, a life that is tolerant. You will be able to interact with your environment, with your fellow human being, based on love, understanding that we are all necessary. We're all part of this cauldron of life, so that you don't go out here busting somebody's head open and get whatever it is that you want out of that person.
It's obvious. It's obvious in this video. That's not the message.
That's not the message. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? It's not about it. It's about the money. And if you look at the history of the church, it's always been about money and power. The Crusades, the idea of converting you to one spiritual, for you to adhere to a specific spiritual philosophy, to be able to control you and ultimately control your pocketbook, control the tithes, the money that goes into the church. One more thing I just want to point out. Priests in Christianity in the early history of the church used to marry, right? They don't marry anymore today. And the reason is because one of the wealthiest bishops back in the 11th century died and left his property to his wife and his children. The Pope got upset about that and then wrote a papal bull that from henceforth, every bishopric run by a bishop, when the bishop dies, the property goes directly to the church. What you see follows the history of the church and property of the deceased.
Yeah,
you're just seeing it manifested in a different way, but it's the same idea that what belongs to you belongs to the church.
To the church. Let me get Dr. Simonos. Thank you, DB Charger. Let me get Dr. Simonos. Keep it brief, because this is just to talk about that specific video, and then we'll go into conversation. Go ahead, Dr. Monet.
I'm sorry, my voice.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to thank Chineke for me being able to be here with a voice or without a voice, so that my voice is heard. I would like to thank the ancestors and everyone that is on the panel. Thank you for being here, and may the message be sent forth still, even though I don't have much of a voice right now. But what I believe is that, this is not what was displayed. Is not God. God is not receiving. The church is so they're so quick to say, give your money to God. No, we're giving your money to you. We're giving your money to the church. So this man is dead. Why is it that they're asking for a tithe from the dead man's family, or he has transcended. This is a disrespect. This is a total disrespect to him, his family, and everyone else that was around there, all of his loved ones. And it tells you how far the church will go in order to, how far they will go in order to maintain wealth. And you see it all around. I mean, you'll see a big, beautiful church in the middle of, it's a crisis. People are suffering, and they're asking for the last of what people have. People may not have anything, but they're asking for their last to give to the church. And a lot of those pastors and preachers are driving big time cars. They're driving Cadillacs. They're driving Lincolns. They're driving Mercedes Benz. And all of these people are suffering in the community, and they're not wanting to do anything about it. They're building their kingdom. They're not building your kingdom. If you're a Christian and this is going on, they're not building your kingdom. They're not building the kingdom of Chineke. They're not building the kingdom of God, but they're building their own kingdom. So you must understand this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I want Namdi. Namdi, what are your thoughts?
Well, number one, I want to thank you guys for bringing me onto the panel, and also, I didn't expect to laugh so hard inside. So thank you for the comedy relief, even though it's not that funny. It's hilarious. If actually just taking a look at it, you realize that it's a mentality, and it's a poor man's mentality. It's not even a spiritual mentality that they're holding on to. The church is asking a dead man for money, and if the dead man can't give them the money, then the family of the dead man must give them money before they can put him in the ground. That is a poor man's mindset, because what you're doing is, as a pastor, a deacon, or whatever, if you're supposed to be the head of an organization, the head of a sect, the head of something that is supposed to help steward souls or spirits to a better place, it shouldn't matter what they give you, because it's a thing about what you're supposed to be able to give them. What you're doing is you're holding on to a thought process that was basically indoctrinated into you. You're still you still are coming from a place of struggle, but taking on the thought process of, I need to get in order to give the bare essentials of what I'm supposed to do as a steward to the flock's, soul, the community. You're still coming from a struggle mindset. There's nothing spiritual about this. There's nothing, honestly, to tell you the truth, there's nothing even, it's borderline religious, but it's still an indoctrinated mindset. I hate to say it, and I don't bash any person based off of their belief, but most of the time I usually say, if you're going to believe in something, know what it is that you're believing in. If you're going to follow someone, know who it is that you're following. If these are the individuals that you are following when the person was alive, and this is how they act when the person dies, you might want to switch up who it is that you're following and what it is that you believe. Because if these individuals are acting this way and they're supposed to be the stewards of your belief, what do you really believe in? That's all I got to say on that.
That's a very real question. What do you really believe in? What do you believe in? And that's what's devastating Africa, to be honest. You know, that's what's devastating us, because we're not focused on the real meaning, the real objective of our spiritual organizations. You know, every organization has edits we're supposed to follow. Okay, whether we follow is a whole different thing. So the problem is always the person who's presenting the information, who is interpreting the information to you. It is how they interpret it that most people go along with, because a lot of people don't read. You know, those people that carry Bible all over the place, they don't even read. They don't know what's in it. Some do, some don't. A lot of them don't. If you can't read, it doesn't matter if it's written in Igbo or Chinese or English. It don't matter. If you don't read, if you can't read, you can't read it. So you still have to depend on somebody's interpretation. Okay? That's the biggest problem. Whose report shall you believe? If you cannot read, be careful who you select to interpret information to you, for you rather, because they may just be telling you a lie, as you can see what happened there. As you can see what happened there. Now let us begin to talk about the mass tragedies, the loss of lives in our world. Now, let us understand one thing. The reason why all we hear is about the tragedy in the United States, because we live in the United States. So that's much of the news media presents, obviously, is what pertains to the country that they're in. But if you are in China, you will learn about what's going on in China. If you're in Nigeria, you'll learn about what's going on in Nigeria. Any country that you are in, all right, they pretty much focus on what's going on. The rest of us are not always aware. So we focused on what we see going on here. But the same tragedy is happening on the homeland. It's happening in China. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in Israel. It's happening in Palestine. It's happening everywhere. Murder, 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 murder. The share of countries with a high or very high level of social hostilities is so great. And a lot of it does involve religion. If you think about why some people kill, there are so many reasons, but some of it has to do with religion. When a religion preaches that someone else is the other, it's not one of you. God didn't bless them. They are not part of God's kingdom. You're going to have to get rid of these people you don't want in your kingdom. You dehumanize those people. They become targets. You actually embrace cleansing, ethnic cleansing. They don't belong here. In this whole world that we're all supposed to share, you pinpoint those that you don't think belong and those that need to be eradicated. This is all over the world. The hostilities is very sharp, right? Well, actually, it's sharpest now in the Middle East and North Africa. All religious based. In Nigeria and some other African countries, hostilities, religious based. Now in America, to some degree, it's religious based. And why I say that, certainly you have the proliferation of guns. But why I say it's religious based is because many religions advocate for gun ownership. Many of the religions here. But let me share with you what some of the religions say about murder. Because when you hoard guns, the purpose may be to some degree to go hunting. But a lot of times it's also for protection, which is in the Constitution in the United States. I get it. But an AR-15 that shoots rounds automatically, you don't need that to kill a person. If one shotgun can do it, what do you do? What do you need AR-15? We shouldn't be shooting, period. We shouldn't be killing God's children unless your life depended on it. Unless you're trying to save your own life. What is the purpose of going to cleanse society of people you think don't look like you? There are many reasons, and we'll get into that. But let me just talk about a little bit of the edits, and I'll have you guys talk about them as well. Let's look at Chiism Godianism. The 13th Purgative Light says, I believe that if the universal unity of humanity under the parenthood of Chineke shall be a reality. And the paradise of Chineke shall come. The traditional Okobolana Africa attitude of biri can biri, live and let live, is the indispensable catalyst. When you talk about live and let live, that means you don't have the right to dispose of another human being for any reason, unless your life depends on it. Biri can biri, let me live and you live. Then together we will find peace. The Chiist does not go around talking about, I want to get rid of you because you're not a Chiist. Our 13th purgative light strictly emphasizes that. Biri can biri, live and let live. The word is live. Kain biri, live. And let live, not live, me live, you die. That is not the 13th purgative light. If you look in the Christian Bible, the 6th commandment states that you shall not murder. In other words, there is no unjustified homicide. That is what the Christian Bible says. It also states, if a man takes the life of any human being, he shall surely be put to death. But if he struck him down with an iron object so that he died, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Moreover, you shall not take ransom for the life of a murderer who is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death. This is in your Bible. Murder is unacceptable, unjustified murder. And yet, a lot of these murderers nobly go around killing unjustifiably. The Torah, what the Torah says about killing, righteous, justified killing. Now, here's the thing about the Torah. The Torah believes in divine punishment for the convicted murderer. So that is to let you know, don't murder anyone, because the penalty is that you will get killed. If you spill somebody, if the blood of one man is spilled by another, his blood shall be spilled. There is no you're going to jail in the Torah. So there is much emphasis on thou shalt not kill, because if you kill, you ain't going to jail, excuse the expression. Your blood will be spilled if you spill the blood of another. What about the Quran? Allah discusses the sanctity of life on various occasions in the Quran and makes it clear that murder of any kind is a huge sin. In the past few decades, Muslims have gained a very negative reputation around the world because of all the murders associated with Islam. But that is not what the Quran says for them to do. The term genocide is now a global thing. Mass killings, much of it as a result, excuse me, my grandson surprised me. Okay, thank you, my darling. So every religion speaks ill of murder. But here we're using guns as an excuse, even as a religious excuse. So I'm going to ask each one of you, based on what I talked about, Yudi.
Yeah.
Please talk about the edicts in religious books against murders, and yet we find murders occurring under the guise of religion. So you take it away.
To be honest with you, it's a difficult subject to really deal with, but it's a subject that we have to deal with. And one of the religious edicts that is common amongst all religions, and even common just amongst people that have a level of moral cachet, is the saying that thou shalt not kill. It's not a Christian thing. It's not a Muslim thing. It's not a Buddhist thing. It's not a Chinese thing. It's a universal moral edict. Thou shalt not kill. Nobody wants to be killed. You know, that's the ultimate downfall of a person. When you're dead, You can't protect anything. You can't protect your family. You can't protect your borders. You can't protect anything that has to do with you or your well-being. Thou shalt not kill prevents you from having to go take something from your neighbor that doesn't belong to you by force, just by getting rid of him and taking what belongs to them. There's no place in the world, there's no culture in the world that says that something like that is okay. So it's a universal moral tenet that crosses all political, religious borders and boundaries. We all have that. Humans have always killed. You know, we buy into this thing that the world was, there used to be peace until something happened. And then, voila, we all went crazy. We've always been crazy. It's always been survival of the fittest. When the earliest humans, Pro-Magnum, the earliest human beings, the Neanderthals or what have you, they all had to survive. They all had to vie for resources that were limited because their environment limited them to access to those resources until they started to expand and move away from their immediate boundaries and now discover that, hey, you know what? I'm not just relegated to this spot over here. I can also get resources outside my immediate borders by going in there and taking it. And through this exercise, as our mind continued to evolve, those people that were affected by the idea that you could go in and take something that doesn't belong to you because there were people there already. But because you're vying for resources, you went over there to take what belongs to them. And those people say, hey, wait a minute. I was here before you came. I have to defend my territory. So you have conflicts. It's always been around. As our mind evolved, as religion became part of our existence, then we put in this moral rules that says you can't do certain things because regardless of what culture, religion, spirituality, regardless of what race or tribe you belong to, these particular tenets affect everybody. Thou shalt not lie. Nobody likes lying. It's not a Christian thing. Thou shalt not steal. It's not a Christian thing. We all have it, regardless of what the culture is. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet somebody else's wife, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we credit the Egyptian Book of the Dead because that is where we figured it was first put into text. But these things existed before somebody put it down on paper, before the hieroglyphics came into being. We have now found ourselves in a place where we have to make a decision. Do we continue to act like savages, or do we continue to adhere to these moral tenets that are thousands of years old, that guided our behavior and how we interacted with our neighbors? Unfortunately, power comes into play. Economics comes into play. Racism comes into play. Tribalism comes into play. Religion comes into play. We use these as excuses to cross our borders and go and get something that does not belong to us. We did it during the time of Julius Caesar. We did it during the time of Genghis Khan. Hitler came in and tried the same thing, and the world said no. Religion has its good parts, then it has its bad parts. We have to understand that there's nothing that is going on now, and this is the truth. There's nothing that is going on now that has not been going on since the dawn of civilization. We've never changed. As far as I'm concerned, it is part of the human capital. There's a reason why we behave the way we behave. And personally speaking, as an Ochoaja, I think we behave the way we behave because intrinsically, when we were created, it was part of population control. I read a book in college where it was stated that wars and famine and murder and death was healthy for the human race because it helped to create a balance between the population and resources. Because any country that doesn't have the resources that it needs, if it's got power, is going to cross its boundaries to go get that resources. And at some point, one of the resources that we're going to be fighting over is water. Oh, it's coming. There's nothing you see now that has not been around. My take on it is simply this. In America, for example, in 1776, the Constitution was ratified. It was ratified and the Second Amendment came into being. And the Second Amendment says that a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed upon. But because of politics, Republicans, Democrats, the two most powerful political forces in the United States, it has now been interpreted to say that every American has a right to bear arms. No, you don't. Constitution specifically says that a well-regulated militia, that's the only right you have to bear arms. If you have a well-regulated militia that will fight for the citizens of the United States when the government gets out of hand. That's it. The Constitution does not say that you have the right to bear arms, but it's been split into two political schools. One is well-regulated militia. The other one is the right of the people to keep and bear arms. And then all of a sudden, they look at it as two different schools of thought. But it's not. It is the second part of it, the right of people to keep and bear arms, that has now become political. And that's what they're using. And in my opinion, for one and one reason only, racism. Those people that feel threatened by other races coming into the United States, those people that feel that they're going to be marginalized, those people that feel that at some point they're going to become the minority, those people that feel that it was a sin for slavery to be abolished in the first place, because the only way they were able to hold on to slaves was through the gun. If it wasn't for the gun, if it wasn't for arms, do you think that a slave owner, whatever they want to call themselves, will stand in front of a Mandingo warrior one-on-one and pick a fight? The gun made slavery possible. It wasn't the sword. It wasn't the bow and arrows. It wasn't the shield. It was the gun. As long as you can hit somebody 1,000 yards away and take their life, you were able to enslave them. As far as the United States in itself is concerned, it is the gun that helped them build their economic base on the backs of people of African ancestry, both in the Caribbean and here in the United States. So the gun in America is a symbol to me of slavery, of dominance over all other races. Have the European or the white man compete with the black man or black woman, they will lose. Let us into tennis. We played tennis. We were the baddest of them all. Back in the 1930s, when the black woman won the Wimbledon, when they first let a black person into tennis, we won it all. We went into golf. We won it all. World War II, you had the Tuskegee Airmen, never lost a bomber that they flew to protect in World War II. The only squadron in all of World War II that never lost one plane. Wherever you put us in, we excel. The gun in America is a sign of the white person's dominance. It is their way of saying, you get out of hand, we will shoot you down. You see it in the policing of our neighborhoods. You see it in the interactions with us in states like Florida, where they have stupid laws that says, I can't remember what they call it, but you know, once you feel threatened, you have a right to shoot somebody down. And the only threat you always feel is the threat of a black person playing a loud music in a parking lot. Then with your gun, you feel you got a right to walk up to them and then tell them, turn your music down. And if they challenge that, you shoot them down. Guns in America is about racism and religion. You have Christian institutions that back these gun laws. You have Christian institutions that want to take the rights of a woman in controlling her body and talk about abortion, talk about the unborn child has a right, but you don't find it in your spirit as a Christian, as a Republican, to pass laws that will keep an 18-year-old from getting weapons of mass destruction and protect the lives of the same children that you said you want to protect through abortion laws. Something is off here. And as far as the rest of the world is concerned, violence has always been part of going in and taking something that belongs to you. There has to be a sense of conscience. We have to bring the moral fabric of humanity back because we have lost it all over the world. The Chinese will choke you out for power and territory. In Nigeria, the Hausas, the Muslims come after the Igbos. They will choke you out to maintain power. And they've maintained power since the end of the Civil War in Nigeria. You go to any other country in Africa, go to East Africa, go to Sudan, go to Somalia, Christians against Muslims, Muslims against Christians, violence everywhere. World War II, the extermination of 6 million Jews. In Russia, the murder of Russian citizens by Joseph Stalin. The shoguns in Japan murdered their citizens to keep power. Genghis Khan conquering all the way to Gaul. We've always had violence. Violence has always been around. There's nothing that we've ever done to be able to mitigate it. You have the Crusades. All of a sudden, here's a European in a Catholic church, the Pope, that now decides they want to conquer Jerusalem for God. And they leave Jerusalem and go all the way to the Middle East to go fight in Israel. Israel don't belong to you. It belongs to the Palestinians. You come all the way from Europe to Africa with your gun and you take Africans across the oceans and enslave them in the Caribbean and in the Americas. The black men and women don't belong to you. Africa doesn't belong to you. We've always been mired in violence because humanity, since the dawn of civilization, has never found a moral compass to understand that we're all part of this cordon of life. We all have a purpose. All roses are not red. Red rose, yellow rose, white rose, pink rose, but they're all roses. All trees are not the Iroko tree. There are all kinds of insects. All insects are not bees. All cats are not lions. All dogs are not Dobermans. There is nothing in life that was created as one and only. We have to appreciate ourselves as human beings. We have to become a little bit more spiritual. We have to create this peace on earth that has never existed. The only question you have to ask is, when you do, in terms of how God made the world and all the little controls that were put in place to control the human population, are we roughly in social harmony? Or does violence mean anything to anybody when it affects you directly? That's the question. When will we do something about it? When Ted Cruz's children are shot up in school, then maybe he'll pass the laws then. That's all I got to say.
Yes.
I'm going to go to, I'm sorry, I was off a minute there. Dr. Simona, I'm not going to get you to talk. I just want you to participate because your voice is really, you're really struggling with your voice. Okay. But I'll go to Nnamdi. Nnamdi, your thoughts?
I'll try. I'm sorry. Hopefully there's a couple things going on with the.
Okay. He's trying to get his stuff together. You know, and while he's doing that, let's see. Nnamdi. Okay. Dr. Monet, are you able to speak?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Really good point. This is a very important topic. For one, we have to realize that in America, Black people were not considered a full human being. For a very long time, we were not even considered human. And we were considered property. And also we were considered, we were not full human. And so there's still people that believes that way. And that look at murdering us, at doing things to us, in that way, as just as if they would kill an animal to eat an animal or something like that. And so you have to understand their doctrine, because while it does say thou shalt not kill in the 10 Commandments, but thou shalt not kill who? Thou shalt not kill the people that, is following the rules of their God, And so when you go outside of that, that opens the window for them to be able to murder. There's a scripture in the Bible, I was just looking it up. It says, kill all old and young, girls, women, and little children, but do not touch anyone with the mark. Began right here at the temple. So they began killing the sovereignty leaders, defiled the temple, exclamation point. The Lord commanded, fill the courtyards with corpses. Go. So they went and began killing throughout the city. While they were out killing, I was all alone. I fell face down on the ground and cried, "O sovereign Lord, will your fury against Jerusalem wipe out everyone left in Israel?" This is Ezekiel 9:6-11. So you have to understand, they feel that God has given them the right. They wear the mark. Yeah. White people feel that they wear the mark to be able to kill whoever they want to kill. And that the only people they don't have to kill, that rule, that 10th commandment falls in line with, is people who look like them. You have to understand, this is in their word. And they feel justified for all of the mortalities that they do, because there's many white people that still believe that blacks and other races of people are not human. I think, don't quote me on that, but I think at one time we were a third of a human. And so you have to understand where this is coming from. And you have to understand, if you're a Christian, what you are following. And you have to understand where it came from. And so they feel totally justified. That man that killed all of those elders and all of those things, he feels completely justified for what he did according to his word, because that 10 Commandments only applies to people who look like him.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Monet.
Do that. That's really cool.
Now, I think Nnamdi has got his information together, his technology together. So, well, what are your thoughts, Nnamdi?
Well, you both made very strong, valid points. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on, I want to touch on both of what you both said. Otwaja Yudi mentioned something about resources. Let's be very clear. The concept of separation of church and state has never been separate when it comes down to how the indoctrination process of religion has played in the mind of the people that are seen as a resource.
Yep.
The people are the greatest resource. Africans that have been taken and stripped from their country, brought here, have been the greatest resource to the European since the laws were actually established in this country. Yep. Trying to separate the idea of church and state is false, mute. It does not play any type of, it doesn't play in this country. Why? Because number one, you had to indoctrinate the people. in order to believe that whatever it is that they came from, whatever it is that we came from, what God that we saw ourselves looking like, spoke in our language, walked in our form of geography, is invalid to our existence. Therefore, we are made in the servitude of another based off of a religious doctrine. And with that, just as was mentioned, we are now considered less than human. With us being considered less than human in the church's eyes, now anything that is connected to anything else in European society, we can be taken advantage of. One of the problems with indoctrination is the European has fallen more into the indoctrination than we have, because they're benefiting more from that indoctrination than we ever will.
True.
So the fact that they're benefiting from that indoctrination, meaning that the small group of individuals at the top have indoctrinated the masses at the bottom, where they can now control the intelligent, the so-called intelligence, and have these groups of individuals that look like them, that small group at the top that created the laws, as my uncle would usually say, those that created the that have the gold create the rules. That's exactly, I know it's an old saying, but my uncle usually says that a lot, and it's been ingrained in me, and he's been saying that for years. So you see how that plays. That's just a small snippet of it. But those at the top have indoctrinated those masses at the bottom, which now plays such a significant role in how these individuals that have been indoctrinated, not necessarily by force, how that community of individuals plays by the individuals that have been indoctrinated clearly by force, stripped from where they come from. And then the funny thing about that is all of the resources that make this group of individuals at the top and these indoctrinated individuals at the bottom have the ability to utilize everything to at their whim, their luxury, their leisure, is from the people that were indoctrinated by force. So not only are you going to take the things from these groups of individuals to make you feel more important than you actually are, now you feel that you can utilize the greatest resource that you have. Use them however it is that you choose to. And the church told you that it could. The indoctrinated group over here, us, the Africans, it's been ingrained in our minds that we're not worthy of actually having the things, the luxuries that we gave this indoctrinated group of people. Or should I say was stolen, that they took from us. Now, I say all that to say this group of people, these Europeans, the Christian elite, so to speak, have played more of a significant role in the laws, statutes, and whatever else it is that you want to call it, that have been solidified in Western society and Western law today. Everything that they do is literally either to keep us in some form of control, or basically to eliminate and predicate their thought process of fear that has been instilled by the church.
That's right.
One interesting thing about when we were talking about guns, and Otraja Yudi was referring to the Second Amendment. The funny thing is, you can kind of connect that to the laws of nature, and at the same time you can't, because it's been bastardized. The Second Amendment has actually bastardized the laws of nature. Here's what I mean when I say it. If you go to the Serengeti, a lion is born with jaws that can crush bone, claws that can basically rip flesh from bones. And most of the time, that lion will utilize those things necessary to kill in order to survive. When it's hungry, it goes in and hunts. When it's threatened, it will defend itself with the same tools necessary in order to go and hunt. If a lion is full, a gazelle can walk right past it and it has no problem with that gazelle. It's full.
That's right.
It has no problem. It has nothing. It's nothing. Now let's go to the desert. If you see a scorpion has 2 pinchers and a poison tail. The only time that this thing is going to use those tools necessary in order to hunt or to kill is if it needs to protect itself. If it feels threatened, then it will utilize those tools that were given to it by nature.
Yes.
In order to protect itself or to get what it needs in order to survive. We are the only, and there's plenty of other examples that I can use when it comes down to nature, animals in nature. For some reason, we seem to separate ourselves so much from the laws of nature and nature itself that we think we have the right to take something someone's life, the energy force that looks like us just because we're scared. And the thing is, there is no actual threat other than what has been convinced to us by someone that needs us to believe that these groups of people are a threat.
Yes.
True, that's true.
The level of indoctrination is on so many different levels that you have one group of people believing that another group of people that they force to believe in their way of thinking is a threat to them when we're just trying to live our life.
That's right.
In what sense does that make? There is no sense to it. As Otraja Yudi said, it's about resources. You have to make sure that this group sees this group as being less than in order to still occupy them as a resource. We are the greatest resource that America and Europe has ever seen, ever had. And for some reason, until we snap out of it, we will continue to be the resource that they can use and dispose of.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You know, all of you have made some really powerful points. One point that we must make is that in every religion and in every society, you have the good. You have those who genuinely want to do the right thing. And it's not always those that have the power to make things happen. But they try. But the people who have the power are those who are the, what is the word I'm looking for? They're the ones that are extremists because they interpret the word in their way to suit their agenda. Just like Nnamdi has indicated. They have to interpret it to suit their agenda, what they want to do. How it helps them is how they interpret it. They don't interpret it the way it's supposed to be. Let's be honest. When you look at any of the books, there are some good things in every holy book. Every holy book has good things in it. But it's not used that way because the people who wrote the book, actually, even though they have some positive things, they wrote it so that you can use it. Those who will become extremists can use it to subdue those who want to do the right thing. I don't know if I'm making sense to you.
Yeah.
There are people who want to do good things, And if you look at right now in politics, wherever you have people who are going into the streets and they're screaming and they're yelling and they're calling for order, they're calling for common sense and all of that. Those people are the ones who are not extremists. They really believe in what they are reading. But the book is supposed to, these holy books are supposed to, quite frankly, create two sets of people. Those that will be humbled by some of the good words, and then those who will use those good words, turn it their way to suppress the humble. Then you have a conflict. The good want things to good, positive things to happen. The bad one, you know, they want to keep you down. That is why in this country, over 80% of the people want gun control. And only about 20% does not want it. And those 20% are the ones in power. The rest of them who are not in power, they want to do good things, they want to see good things, but they cannot implement the rules that will keep things in order. But we do have a responsibility, though. Because those people, those 20% I'm talking about, we put them there. You can't talk about what people are doing when you allow it to be done. At some point, we have to realize that we are responsible for the people we put in there. So we don't have the power necessarily to enact laws, but we certainly have the power to put people in office that will enact the laws that we want. But for some reason, we keep putting people in office that work against our interest. If you look at what has happened recently with this shooting in America, look at what the 20% are talking about. Do you know that they have gone on vacation, knowing fully well that this can happen again? The Republicans yesterday, or is it 2 days ago? I guess it was 2 days ago. They voted against a bill that will bring the conversation about gun control to the table. They killed that bill. Now, the rest of us, we're screaming, do something. But what power do we have? When you have put them in office, the only way you can do something is to think when you get in that voting booth. Before you hit that button, send. Think about who you are putting in there. Read about them. Don't just go and do any, mini, miny, mo. I'm not kidding you. That's what some of us do. We don't even know what they stand for. He's Republican. Oh, I'm Republican, so I vote Republican. He's Democrat, so I'm Democrat. I vote Democrat. But you don't know what they stand for. Their actions tell you what they stand for. So when you get ready to vote, make sure you understand what they stand for, because they will work against you. And it happens over and over and over and over and over. And we keep putting the same people in there, hoping for a different outcome. These people have left. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? They have left town, y'all. They stopped 5. Let me tell you, 5 potential events were stopped. That would have had the same consequences as what happened at Robb Elementary, but it was stopped, fortunately. But let me ask you, what about the ones that have not been stopped, that we don't know about? What about what we don't know about? Right now, as you and I are talking, there is somebody crazy out there who's planning. As a matter of fact, it's almost like they're outdoing each other. Where this one didn't do enough, I'll do more. This is what they're thinking. They have no... Look, if you know that those in charge will not do anything, that's why they do it. There's no consequence. We as a society of spiritual people, we need to become cognizant of our role. We need to be cognizant of what we're teaching in church. If thou shalt not kill is the edit of our commandments, then we must push that. Not say, well, you know, you can have a gun. It's in the Constitution. The churches are teaching that. It's your right because it's in the Constitution. If the church says that thou shalt not kill, then there is no justification whatsoever for killing, period. Like Namdi said, when an animal kills, it's to eat. And once it's full, it won't kill again. But we don't kill just to eat, we kill for fun. Taking human life is fun. The video games make it so it's fun. When you get through with doing it on the computer, you go out there and then, hey, let's do the real thing. There are no laws that control that. The conversations in church, I was watching, oh my God, I was watching a pastor telling the audience that Democrats are evil. They don't deserve to live. What is that saying? You're saying that in church, yet you say, thou shalt not kill. The pastor says, Democrats are evil. They don't deserve to live. Let me ask you a question. If you don't die due to natural causes, God, Chineke doesn't take your life. Now let me ask you, what does it mean that I don't deserve to live? That a Democrat doesn't deserve to live? What does that mean? You're saying that in church. What does that mean? I'm asking a question here. It means what? Take them out. How do you take them out? At the point of what? A gun.
Yeah.
You've got pastors brandishing guns. But the Bible says, thou shalt not kill. You see the Muslims, and let me be clear, the radicals, because they are good Muslims out here. Let's be honest about this. They're good Muslims, they're good Christians, they're good Jewish people, they're good in every group. But then you have the ones that are radicalized. And the tragedy is they are radicalized in church by radicalized religious leaders, like the one I just mentioned to you. So when you find a young man who goes to a church and he finds that nobody talks to him, he doesn't participate in school, they tease him, they bully him, and then he goes to church, and maybe he knows some of those kids that bully him are Democrats. That's what's dangerous. Be careful who your pastor is. They are carrying guns. These are radicalized people in cars showing guns, shooting it up in the air. What is that about? What is that about? If we're going to follow the edicts of our religious teachings, our religious books, then we must preach it in church. Thou shalt not kill means thou shalt not kill. Not with a gun, not with a stone, not with your fist, not with a knife. Thou shalt not kill, period. And if you kill, if your religious edict says that your blood will be spilled, then understand that's the consequence of taking somebody's life. Then you wouldn't do it. We've got leaders who were being asked by foreign, what was his name? Ted Cruz was being asked by a foreign reporter. Why is it that the United States is the only country? Switzerland has a lot of guns.
Yep.
But very low incidences of violence.
Zero.
So it's not about the guns. It's about the mindset. It's about our people. It's what we put in their minds. In African spirituality, we say Madu Bu Chi Ibeya. Let me say that again, and all of you who have changed, you should know it. Madu Bu Chi Ibeya. That is your edit. You cannot kill anybody because another person is God. Is the temple of God. You don't take his life or her life. There is no excuse. There's no guns to kill somebody unless your life. Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I was the point of guns. Then wasn't there a time that you men, you used to put your fist up and box it out?
Yeah, the guns creates weakness. It's a way of resolving conflict.
Men brandishing something. Put the gun down and put the fist up.
Yep. Put the gun down, son.
Put the gun down. If you go to fight with your friend and they kick your butt, you learn something. Next time, instead of standing to the right, to stand to the left. There's no point for killing a human being. There's no point to it. But it's condoned. It's condoned. And I want to read something that one of, and then you guys comment on that. It says, Chiism, like the easy access of guns in America is about deputizing the general population of the increasing minority population of Europeans to maintain the position and power of overseers of non-white, particularly African Black people. This is true. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Now, the comment on Akachi Azubike's point there.
It's absolutely true. And just to point out a couple things, when you were talking about the church, the pastors saying that individuals, Democrats are evil and they should. One of the weirdest things about it is how does that sound? Number one, how does that sound? How does actually deputizing your church members based off of the belief of another group of people that are in the same congregation, in the same community, in the same state, in the same city, in the same country, because this person wears blue rather than red? How does that sound? What sense does that make? How does separating an individual based off of their political belief justify the allowance of feeling that their lives should be taken because they believe that they should be able to do things with their own bodies, because they believe in human rights, because they believe that the idea of respecting another individual based off of them just being an individual, them being human, for some reason that's not good enough. Oh, they should carry the thought process of, oh, if this person is different, they're evil. They should think that way, and that's godly. Please tell me where in the Bible where it says that a human has a right to do the judgment of the one that created you. Please tell me where it says we have the right to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't say that in your Bible, that let's make one thing clear. For some reason, these evangelists, which are the radicalists, they are the radicals. These evangelists, they feel as if they can preach the word of God, and I use that in quotations because it's a bunch of BS, and deputize individuals in their communities as if they are the right hand of God themselves, as if they are the sword of God, as if they are the archangel Michael. Mm-hmm. This is what they're trying to preach. They're preaching to individuals as if they can take it upon themselves to act like the archangel Michael. Mm-hmm. But let's be very clear. The archangel Michael still had to be given the permission to be that by the one that created him.
Yes.
you're not on that level, don't think at any level, even in your small thinking, you have the right to deputize a community and create the level of division. It's political. It's political. Let's be very clear. This is money. This is about money. This is about broadcasting fear is about putting more money in your pocket. As the preacher, it is about putting more money in your pocket, because the more fear you strike in the hearts of your congregation, the more money they're going to give you, because you have the power to save their souls. You're not saving anything but their gas on their Learjet. Not doing anything for these individuals other than making them richer by making you more stupid and more scared. By separating yourself from the person you live next to. Because their belief is, I don't really feel that the other people that don't look like me are bad. I think they should be able to live and let other people live. We should be able to do this. No, this way of thinking is generational. Religious thinking, political thinking, all of this is generational. All of this is a continuous line of cognitive dissonance based off of fear.
Yes, fear. Say it again.
That's all it is. Simple, plain and simple. It is cognitive dissonance. And people need to understand this. There are two types of ignorance. You have ignorance due to lack of clarity, and you have ignorance due to cognitive dissonance. Now, cognitive dissonance will solidify itself in your mind based off of what another person can convince you of due to your ability to survive. But when I was talking about how animals operate in the law of nature, once again, we're still part of that. So I need people to understand that I am not condoning any type of violence whatsoever. But let's have a very clear understanding. We are still a part, even with this nonsense, we are still operating in the laws of nature. If we have the same ability to kill what we need in order to eat, then we have the ability to do what's necessary in order to survive. This is not a thing about going out there and because we'll be just as bad as them. We shouldn't be fearful in our way of thinking, but we should have a very clear understanding that when it comes down to these gun laws and all this other type of stuff, unless we're carrying around spears ourselves in this modern age, then we need to have the tools necessary in order to defend ourselves, defend our communities, defend our families, and make sure that no one is going to be trifling in our reality. Because what they're doing is they're putting things out there that, like these pastors, these politicians, they are creating a reality and trying to grab us into their reality.
It's like they're in cahoots. They're
getting money.
This.
They get money from this.
They all get paid.
This. They all get paid. All of them. They're all getting money. If you think about it, why do you have so many conservative politicians that are connected to so many evangelist preachers? So many mega churches always are with these conservative politicians because they're getting money from them.
And it's the same thing if you look at Nigeria. Let me just use Nigeria. It's the same thing. These pastors are in with the politicians, and some of these killings are actually orchestrated by politicians. It's just crazy all over the world. And of course, the innocent get caught in the middle. Here's a note, Ochaja Yudi. I want you to respond to Akachi Azubike. White evangelicals are separating the wheat from the chaff. Those of their people that won't fall in line with this Christian white national theocratic trajectory are considered leftist, liberals, and lovers, and up for disposal as well. Wow.
Well, in the context of America, in the context of the United States of America, bingo. That's what I say. It said that in times of war, truth is always the first casualty.
Yeah.
You have to model the truth first. Model it up real good so that when you start spewing your venom, people start buying into your point of view. There's no separation of church and state in America. That's why they put that in the Constitution. Because when the Puritans were here, they understood the danger of religion. Same thing, they were part of what they were running away from when they refused to pay taxes to King George. In England, they needed to do their own thing. They wanted to get away from the influence of the Church of England. That's why they put that in the Constitution here in the United States. Also understanding that, religion is designed to keep the poor from killing the rich. You have to convince as many people as possible that their condition is a result of some inwardly sin as opposed to a result of how they're being governed. And who's putting all the resources into their own pocket, who's getting it all for themselves, and then just divvying up just a little bit to you. You are so stomped on economically and so on and so forth, just like you see in Africa, that you start believing that your salvation lies in the religion. I mean, look at Nigeria right now. They're going to church. They go to church to pray for electricity, as opposed to holding their leaders accountable for the reason why there's no electricity. Now they believe they must have done something so sinful that God took the electricity from them. Bad roads. We must have sinned so bad that God destroyed the roads. That's why we don't have any roads anymore. It is not because our leaders are putting the money in their pocket as opposed to building roads. Our school systems are messed up. We must have sinned according to the Bible. As opposed to saying our leaders are eating our money, putting it in their pocket, and they're not building schools. We have no infrastructure. We must have sinned. Religion is used to keep the poor from killing the rich. America is the wimpiest nation in the world. I'm sorry. The level of wimpiness here is so mind-boggling. It's beyond, you can't even, listen, kids play video games all over the world. They're not out there shooting and killing anybody. So don't tell me about mental issues, people with mental problems. They play games in Switzerland, in Britain, in France, in Germany, in the Netherlands, in Ireland, in Nigeria. They're playing video games in Germany, in Japan, in China, in Korea. They're not out there shooting anybody. And the excuse that is always made for some stupid, idiotic white boy. That excuse is not made for Asian, African, American, or Black American. If it's a Black American, he's a crook. He's a thug. If it's a white person, he's got some mental issue, or maybe it's because of some stupid opioids or whatever. If it's a Black person on crack, he's a thug. He's a scourge on the society. The story always changes when it comes to white folks. There is a saying out there. It's usually attributed to some dude. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but it says that, what's this guy's name? Some guy called Edmund Burke, but I don't think he's the guy that came up with that quote. But it says, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good folks to stand by and do nothing. That's the problem with America. They're very reactionary in everything they do. They are not proactive in anything. Like you mentioned earlier, 20% of people support this gun nonsense. And 80% don't. What's keeping the 80% from exerting their majority on the minority? What?
Listen, no, I was just saying yes. What you're saying is right, but I want to share this with you. This 80%, that there's a South African song that talks about when the Europeans came to South Africa and they had this beautiful land, they loved it, they wanted it. They wanted to make it a piece of their land. Then they took the land and brought more of their people. And then after a while, the indigents were pushed to the side and they had to live on the outskirts. But in this song, Miriam Makeba reminds you, you may enjoy what you're enjoying right now, but soon the majority will want their land back. Soon in this country, the people are going to say enough. They're beginning to say enough. The FBI, according to which I read as well, you know, the pastor was telling you about Ochaja.
Yeah.
The FBI investigating him, and he has lost his 501c3 because as soon as the clip hit TikTok, the TikTokers went to war. They took this pastor down. After the revolution, these young people are more open-minded than we give them credit. They're not going to put up with this too long because you're messing with their future.
It is true, but here's the danger. Here's the thing for me. Yes, they could shut that guy down. To me, it's all propaganda stuff because in the end, it is the polls that would dictate the effect that it's going to have. It's not all these things to, you know, the magician sleight of hand, snow job. Marjorie Taylor Greene just won re-election in her primary. Of everything that was put out there about this woman, of everything we know about her, all the sensible Republicans in her district that came out to vie against her, she won by like 61%. She totally destroyed the good guys.
And she won in a black district.
Exactly.
She represents a black district because
my point is there's snow job and then there's no job, because where it really matters, the bad guy dominates. The good guys are sitting around letting it happen because in the end, like I always tell people, I don't, first of all, like Akachi said, they will demonize those people that are sensible enough to want to practice live and let live, the white folks. They'll lump them and give them names and demonize them as leftists, as the scourge of the American people, blah, 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 blah. So when you're blowing up the white guy, you don't feel any guilt because he's part of the black folks. He's part of the minority. They want to give rights to women so that women can control their bodies. They want people to have the rights to vote. They want you to have the right to live where you want to live. They want you to have the same rights that they have. So anybody that supports the minority cause or the real cause of what being an American citizen is all about is demonized, because these people have this Nazi mindset that they want to control the narrative. They want to control everything. They want to control your access to resources. They want to control how far you can rise. And once in a blue moon, excuse the expression, they give us a token nigger like Clarence Thomas, whose job is to make sure that we do not rise by objecting to anything that will allow people in the minority or that lets people have access to what the white folks have, those that call the shots, those that have the gold. It's just the way it is. There are countless of video clips like that. They excuse the expression again, there's a token nigger everywhere. They do it, and they know why they do it. They let you rise all the way to the top to help make America great again. And then they use that same person to stick it to you. Did Clarence Thomas not vote against the right of a woman to control her body? He did. It's just the way it is. They will give us the little cosmetic thing for you to think that they're doing anything, but they're not. This is not the first mass shooting in this country. Sandy Hook. Do I need to start listing? This year alone, there are 300 mass shootings in America, and it's just May the 29th. So how many times did they find somebody to present in the news media as if, hey, we're doing something, and the next day, bam, somebody gets blown up? But in Congress, in the Senate, they're unwilling to pass laws that will keep weapons of mass destructions out of the hands of 18-year-olds who can't even buy alcohol since he's 21. But he could walk into a gun store, buy 10,000 bullets, all kinds of machine guns, an airplane, a tank, and God damn it, a nuclear bomb too, if he wants to. But he cannot pass sensible laws to keep 18-year-olds from getting their hands on weapons of mass destruction. But you pass laws telling him he can't drive unless he's got a driver's license. He's got to be 21 years old before he can get alcohol. But he only needs to be 18 for him to go blow somebody's heads up. And then tomorrow, some idiot pastor who has been crazy for how many years now, you dangle him in front of us and tell us, hey, look, we're doing something. No, you're not. Until you pass law in the Senate to restrict access to automatic weapons for serious background checks, just like Switzerland, just like Britain, France, and all these other Western nations do, you are just whistling Dixie. You ain't fooling anybody. You ain't doing anything. There are crazy pastors everywhere. You shut this pastor down, here's another pastor coming up, spewing the same crap. Until the Senate passes any laws, they are not doing diddly squat. They are not going to do it, because the only thing that is necessary for evil to triumph is the people. Maybe as women hit the streets to fight against laws that restrict them to abortion, control of their body, America should hit the streets and force these Republicans to pass the law in the Senate that restricts weapons of mass destructions from 18-year-olds or people with mental issues, blah, 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 blah. They have to have the same zeal, the same hunger to, as a majority, to hit the streets and quit standing on the sideline while evil triumphs. Show the same fortitude that you're showing against abortion.
That's
Stop
right.
these politicians. You have the power. Go do it. Majority is supposed to rule, right?
That's right. Hey, you know what? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know what? The other thing we need to be aware of is, I think it was Akachi who said that, and I just want to point that out. To make America great again is to control the guns, which is the tool to achieve this.
Yeah.
Therefore, we may never get gun control in this country. It's unlike the other countries. Here, that the gun is what they're going to use to make America go again. Now, the other sad part of all these massacres is it's not just the people who die, but it's those people they leave behind to relive the nightmare of the death of a loved one. And those who actually get injured, there are some people who didn't die, but they get injured, and they may have a lifelong injury that they may never get over. And then, of course, you have those who witness the whole thing, the mental anguish. And many of those people don't get treated. So they allowing these kinds of things to continue to fester, it's important that we control the gun, but you're never going to have a healthy society when these things are happening, because it's not a matter of, 10 people were killed. What about the 30 that survived that may have been drastically injured, right? They still have to live in this society. What kind of citizens are they going to be? And what resources are available for them? This thing is too deep. It's not a joke. And like you said, Odibia or Traja, the society must begin to stand up to these politicians. If you don't want to live like this, then don't accept it.
Yep,
I'm not advocating violence by any means, but be forceful in your verbalization of your discontent. Call your leaders. Go to do whatever. Get their attention.
I need to add something.
Go ahead.
Because you're making a valid point. Akachi actually said something about it. Is what she mentioned about the make America great if we can't hold. The United States is the Wild West. All right.
It started as such.
It never stopped. It is still the Wild West. One of the issues that we now have is the Wild West has now been monetized. It's been monetized. The gun makers that existed hundreds of years ago still exist now, and they are still profitable. The bullet makers that existed hundreds of years ago still exist now, and they are profitable. The banks that invest in the arms, guns, bullets, they still invest in them. They've still been investing in them, and they still are making tons and tons of money. They're still profitable now because of everything is tied together. Everything is tied together. Just like Otraja Yudi said, in the United States, you have it actually all over the world. You have all these types of video games that are being played, and video games can't be blamed at all. But now you can go onto those video games. You have Modern Warfare, this, that, all of them, and you can get the same guns here in the United States as you can in those games. The problem is, if they play these games all over the country, but they're not killing each other all over the country, we're the only ones that monetize the ability to kill individuals because you can operate the exact same way as you do in the video games. We are the Wild West here, and the only way that we are really going to be able to make something stick is through our money. I'm telling you this right now. The only way, as a group of people, as individuals, Africans, melanated individuals, whatever you want to call yourself, there has to be a unified identification. And I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking, let's put ourselves in a existent entity category. We have to be able to say the melanated dollar has no place in this society until we have a place in this society. Period. We are making ourselves the whipping boys of everyone else in this country because we are choosing to put our dollars still in their pockets. The problem is, until we identify that the church is going into our pockets, the politicians are going into our pockets, and we're reaching into our pockets and giving it to them. So they have access to every single thing that we claim to want and to be a part of, and they can still take that money that we are giving them, deny access to the things that we need, and put it into bullets and guns and all that, and supply the individuals that are convinced that we are the enemy. And if we continue to allow them to have access to the things that we give them, they will continue to take full advantage of seeing us as an enemy or being convinced that we are, and eliminating us or our ability to be exactly what we say we need to be, human, on every level, mentally, physically, spiritually, politically, economically. We have not identified ourselves as a united front in any one of those stances because we have more black people in Christian churches and synagogues. Look, I'm just going to keep it 100% real. If we are not going to identify, even in the churches, if we are not going to identify ourselves as at least being able to see the individuals outside of them, our own people, as outside of them, as still being our people, we're just as bad as the white people that put the guns in the hands of these people killing these kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. I want to make one point before I introduce something else. Somebody here, let me see what his name is. It said something that's one piece speed, and then there is the replacement theory. I kept bringing that up. That is one of the fears, that people of color are replacing them. Now, I don't want to draw any conclusions, but what I don't understand is how a gunman can be in a school full of people of color, children of color, for 1 hour in a classroom, shooting and killing babies, and 19 police officers are in the hallway and did nothing for 1 hour. Somebody talk me down from this.
Hispanics, that's why it's mostly Hispanic.
I don't care what they say, all the excuses they're making. These were Hispanic children.
Yes.
The government, the babies were begging the police to help. 19 of them were in the hallway. They all, some of them went and got their children out. Handcuffed Hispanic parents begging for the police to do their job. Can somebody tell me why 19 officers, either 19 or 16, I think it's 19, were in the hallway hearing the man shooting babies?
Hispanic.
You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything because you're scared because he has AR-15. And now they're telling all kinds of lies. Something smells somewhere.
That's what smells.
Somewhere.
Racism.
Something rotten somewhere.
Racism.
It does not make sense. Is it because they're
Racism.
children of color?
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you guys something. If we need to speak up. We need to stop being so scared to speak up. Speak up. I don't advocate violence of any sort. But this mouth must open and start speaking. And like Yudi said, Anamdi said, stop giving money to people who are killing you. Stop sending your children to schools where they're going to be killed. If you can't set up your own schools, then do it at home. Somehow you have to send a message that it's not acceptable for your children to be killed because of the color of their skin. The schools make money with your children being there. They count heads. How many kids are in school? Don't put those children in harm's way unless this country does something to protect your children. Stop putting your children in harm's way. If you have to train them at home, you may have to start your own schools. You may have to start your own schools. Before we go any further, I want to play this video. And it's a very brief video, but I just want to thank the young people. Now, yes, last week I had played a video where I showed our members. We still have some new members, but the young people represent our future. And I just want to say thank you to them. So the pictures you see, I'm not trying to not show everybody. There are so many. We have a new member that I just want to welcome again. Let me, Vicky Nettles Jenkins. Yes, darling, we love you very much. Thank you for joining us, being a part of our family. I'm collecting all the new names that I'm seeing for my next video, but I'm going to always take the time in the middle of our presentation to just thank people who are doing some exceptional things. And we do have these young people who are doing exceptional things for us. And I just want to say thank you, guys. Thank you for all that you do. So I'm just going to play this brief video. The rest of you, I'm going to remove you for a minute and I'll bring you back.
Ụlọ nsọ gị Chukwu ka anyị na-abata, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Anya bịawa ịsọpụrụ gị ugbu a, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya, bịakwute ya bịa zuru ike. Bịa o bịakwute ya.
I have a confession to make.
I
teared up. I teared up. I'm emotional right now.
I want you guys to know that we have somebody with a perfect attendance. Adora Osimiri. Onyoha Osimiri. Applause for her. She has never missed one show. Believe it or not, even when she's sick, she attends. Thank you, Adora. We love you, darling. We love you so much. I want to thank Namdi for the tech support he gives me. He runs downstairs, Mom, what do you need? You know, he's always helping. So I want to thank Namdi. I want to thank Emeka. Oh, my darling Emeka. Emeka is the one, but some people work in the background and they make things happen. Emeka is making things happen. the increase in numbers of our viewership is really, quite frankly, because of him. So Emeka, I want to thank you. Akachi calls me at all hours. And yes, Akachi, I love hearing from you. She has suggestions. She makes recommendations. These are young people that are joining our movement, and we are so excited about that. Want to thank Kalenda. You guys don't always see Kalenda with the red head. Kelly is always on the show. I always see him on the show, her on the show, and then she'll call and say, "Oh, that was a good show," you know, because they are tuning in. Ukuna Charles has only missed, believe it or not, one session. One session he missed, and he wrote me to tell me he wasn't going to be able to make it. So as long as we have these young people, we have growing numbers of young people who are joining us all the time. That means that this movement is going to continue to grow. And so I just wanted to take the time and thank them today. And next week I'm going to feature all our new members and say thank you to them for continuing to support us. And I don't want to forget this very important. Before we end the show, I just want to remind you all to please continue to make your donations to for the building of the Obiobase. Please, the Obiobase, and it's showing you exactly where to send it, and that is Cash App $$ Ogele. Please, please, please continue to do so. Well, I don't even know why I'm saying please. You can't be talking all this stuff and you're not willing to donate. So donate. Come on. We need to be about it, not just talk about it. Subscribe to African Spirituality. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. African Spirituality, Chiism Live on YouTube. If you have not subscribed, do so. Get some of your friends. Tell them what you're enjoying, what you're learning. Subscribe. I want to see more. I want to see more subscriptions so that you don't miss anything. That's the whole idea. You don't miss anything. We let you know. You get information about when we're going live. And of course, join us on Chiism Live on Facebook page. Thank you for those of you who have joined us from there. And also follow us on Global Faith Ministries of Chiism on Facebook page. Feel free to go there and post your thoughts and your ideas. We always like to learn from you, hear from you. And also, if you have not ordered an African calendar, I'm telling you right now, if as a chaist, you don't have the African calendar, you're not supported. You're not being supported. Go to africancalendar.org and order a copy. That is a historical document. Have it on your coffee table. I've got mine on my coffee table. Have it on your coffee table and let people come into your home and read it. DB Ochoaja Yudi was the one who packaged that together. I have some things in there like the African calendar, the horoscope. I wrote that one. But you have so much information there for you. Please support the organization. We're putting some things out there that you can use to support us. So please do so. And then the construction of the Obasioha. We got to get going. I am so excited about the possibility that we are going to get this done. And of course, the Chiefs University. August is the launch date. So if you're interested, send me an email that you want to register. Go to chiism.org, and Chiism is CHI-ISM.org, and send me a note saying that, hey, I want to register to become a member to attend Chiefs University. What's exciting about Chiefs University, so you should know, is that we're not here to take your money. We want you to learn what you need to learn, know what you need to know. You're not going to take a whole series of stuff that have nothing to do with what you're interested in. So we want you to take the courses that are pertinent to what you want to do. And of course, we're not training you so that you go out there and work for anybody. We are training you so you become a leader in the community, that you set up businesses for your own people. We are responsible for the growth or lack thereof of our community. So that is the purpose of the university. Now, I want to ask all of you, if you can, okay? There are 43,707 genocide photos, okay, on Getty images, or you can just type that. 43,717 genocide photos, that you see what is going on in the world, all the genocides. I don't have to show you all those pictures. You can actually go and find out for yourself. This is the world we live in. This is what religion is doing to the world. So you cannot allow your name to be used. If you're part of any religious organization, you do not want them to do anything that misrepresents what your understanding of the religion is about. Speak up. It is an imperative. Let me read some of the... You see, some people have written quite a bit of stuff here. All right, let's see. Okay. Courage is weakening. There's no courage in this country. Somebody, that's true. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Courage.
Yes.
Doctor, if you're able to speak, Dr. Simona, are you able to speak? Talk about that.
Yes.
And I think it's very true. There's no courage anymore.
There's no courage anymore. Everything is centered around guns. You don't have fights. You know, when like we were saying, when we were younger and generations before, people would actually use their fists to fight. That's no more. I just there's someone that I know that just was murdered, just cold-blooded for no reason. He was mediating, him and his girlfriend was mediating a fight of the girlfriend's friend. She was in an abusive relationship. He goes over there to mediate. He said what he had to say, went in his car, sat in his car. The guy came out and just killed him, shot him, and killed him cold-blooded. He's the best individual you can meet. The father was there. The father of the murderer was there and said there was no reason his son should have killed this man. No reason. But
he had a gun.
People lack courage.
Yeah.
Like courage.
He couldn't put off his fist, so he had to.
Yeah, he couldn't, because the person he murdered he's almost 7 foot. This guy was maybe 5'8". And so, you know, instead of saying, I'll fight this out, he knew he couldn't win a fight. So he just murdered him for no reason, no threat, no nothing.
You know, there used to be, speaking of courage, there used to be a time when you saw a group of men together, right? You know, you don't want to go there, right? Because they'll mess you up. You know, you see 6, 7, 8 men standing there, muscular men. You don't want to go there and start picking a fight. But now you can pick a fight, because you know what the men will do? They'll whip out their phones.
Yes.
And start videotaping. So who's scared anymore? You know, they don't have the courage to step in. There was a video, and I wish I had downloaded that. There was a video of an African-American gentleman who saw young kids who were fighting, 2 young men that were fighting, and the rest of them were videotaping. He came across the street and he told them, no, you guys are kings. You don't act like that. And the rest of you, why are you watching them fight and you're videotaping? You're not supposed to be a part of this. You're supposed to stop it. We don't stop fights anymore.
No.
If we can't fight, we go pull a gun and we kill. What people don't understand, it's final. Not only do you end the life of that person, you may have ended your life too. You have a choice. Either you kill yourself or you go into jail. And that's nowhere you want to be. Okay, I'm going to ask each one of you. You have a minute, because we only have 4 minutes left. We'll start with DB Ochoaja. Can you round up today's thoughts in 1 minute?
Yeah, a lot of times, you know, these things happen and we see that in the news, and particularly in America. And then, like you pointed out, you forget that this same thing is going on all over the world. And one of the reasons why it's going on all over the world is because of religion. Religion and politics are strange bedfellows, but that's really the driving force behind everything that you see in the news. Religion is the excuse in the United States that is used to justify gun ownership. The greatest support that the NRA has is support from the Christian right, so to speak. Religion and politics is the reason why there's violence all over the world. Religion is spread through imperial patronage. Nobody has ever left their borders to go convince somebody else in another place that they should follow their God. It's always happened by going in there with violence and forcing those people to see the world the way you do. Okay. Violence, religion, number one reason for the violence that you see both here in the United States and in America, and the lack of courage for good people to do something about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, UD. Dr. Monet, you got 1 minute.
Okay. What I would like to say is what we have to understand is where we came from. You have to understand your history. The last lynching, when I researched it, the last reported lynching by the KKK was in 1981. And you have to understand that the mindset of those people has not gone away. A lot of people are still in that mindset that has that lineage of not, appreciating or even having a empathy for the life of a Black person. And so we have to understand that, where we are, we have to open our eyes and know what is going on. And so that is so important that we have to gain our understanding so that we can move forward in the right direction. Fighting for those guns to get off the streets. There's no reason that we have all of this killing power, that everyone has killing power.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Namdi, you have 1 minute.
One of the things that has been effective in this country, again, is fear, but also the inability of recognizing what real strength is. Real strength doesn't have to deal with how many guns you have, how many bullets you have, how big of a gun you have, how big of this you have, how loud your God is, how this your God is, how that your God is. Strength is in restraint. Strength is in respect. Strength is actually in acknowledging the individuals around you and knowing that their lives matter. You should never, you never fear the individual with a bunch of swords.
That's right.
You should fear the one that has skilled enough to know when not to use it.
Thank you all of you for all your wonderful conversation. It's been a very powerful show. I want to thank all of you who joined us wherever you are. Your comments were very helpful. We actually used it for a lot of what we had to discuss today. Remember, when you leave here today, remember one thing, that you have the same rights as anyone else to be on this earth. Nobody has the right to take away your life. And if you know somebody that has to take someone else's life, you should not condone it, not for any reason, not because of what your pastor said, just your common sense, just your knowledge of what God is, who Chineke is, whatever you call Chineke. Madu, Buchibe, we are God to each other. That means we have the right to exist. We have no right to take any lives under any circumstances. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You have been a wonderful audience, and we're looking forward to seeing all of you again next Sunday. We'll have another wonderful show for you. Yagazie.
Yagazie.
So it is.